was one company I found that did something called a forehead shortening, which is an astonishingly grisly thing. But if you want to take your big short forehead abroad and then turn it into a slightly smaller forehead, then there are places that are set up to do that.
A record number of us last year, more than 500,000, went abroad to seek health treatments driven by lengthening NHS waiting lists. As well as vital health treatments, there are a range of cosmetic surgeries available. But how do you decide which countries and clinics are safe to visit? The Times science writer and special correspondent Tom Whipple has been at the International Health Tourism Expo in London, where many of these hospitals are represented, and he joins us now. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. Hello.
We've had some really fascinating stories about people who, for example, there was a lady we spoke to on the breakfast programme around a year ago who needed a hip operation. She was going to have to wait for a long time. She paid to do it abroad, had the best time, recuperated in the sun. It all went brilliantly. She went and got the second one done there, I think. But there are lots of cases where this stuff goes wrong and the NHS has to pick up the bill. How do you judge whether it's a good or a bad thing overall?
Well, look, the first thing you should do is go to the Foreign Office and read their travel advice, which says that there have been deaths associated with treatment abroad. Now, that they can't make causal links necessarily, but what they say is you should go and chat to your normal, boring doctor in drizzly Droitwich before you go and head off to see your lovely sunny doctor in Antalya, and check in on what you're doing, particularly if it's serious. Now, I should say there's all sorts of range of treatments you could do. I was at this expo and there was you can't turn around for seeing toothsome people with toothsome smiles standing in front of teeth. There is a lot of dentistry that you can do there. And in Turkey, they're pretty well set up for doing dentistry and doing dentistry by the beach, and they make a virtue of it. One of the slogans of one of these companies was "where your smile meets the sun." But you can get some pretty extreme things done, and not merely things that one would think you should be getting done on the NHS, but there are companies that will make you taller, that they will add 8, 10, 12 centimetres to you, and that is a very major treatment. There was one company I found that did something called a forehead shortening, which is an astonishingly grisly thing, but if you want to take your big short forehead abroad and then turn it into a slightly smaller forehead, then there are places that are set up to do that. Look, you're going into areas where you as British people, we're not familiar with the regulations. We don't have as much recourse. I would say there are good reasons to go abroad. There are even for things like hip operations, because you can do them cheaper without a waiting list.
Yeah.
But there is a very, very strong element of caveat emptor.
Tom, do you need a referral from the NHS to go and do these things, or can you self-refer to these clinics abroad?
Yeah, you can self-refer in a lot of cases. Look, I would be the further you go up both the necessity and severity chain, I really would, irrespective of whether they ask for details from your doctor, I really would go to your doctor. I mean, there were hospitals at this expo who were advertising organ transplants. I think this is something that very much you should think, I really want to know that my heart is installed well by people I trust. But yeah, look, people go for mainly, to a large degree, cosmetic things. Like hair, lots of men go and get their baldness sorted.
Finally, Tom, the NHS does end up sometimes picking up the pieces, sometimes in emergency cases when things go wrong. Do we know what the bill is for that, the overall burden on the NHS?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that broken down. It's very hard to disambiguate all of this stuff, and also to disambiguate the fact they might have had to pay for the original treatment early. But it's not insignificant. And you chat anecdotally to NHS doctors, and they, ophthalmologists say, look, we're picking up the bill for someone who's come and got their eyes done in Albania or something.
Yeah, it's interesting to navigate, Tom, because you can see there could be some real benefits for people and the NHS, but also some significant downsides. I think I'll give the forehead shortening a miss, even though somebody once did liken me to a thumb because of my forehead. Tom, thanks very much. That is Times science writer and special correspondent Tom Whipple.
That's not fair.
Well, people say nice things on the internet, don't they?
Yeah, well, they certainly do.
It's a good point, though. I mean, leg lengthening, some of the things Tom's talking about there that people can go and get done, it is hugely ill-advised, but very difficult to stop people if they want to do something like that.
It's the availability of it and what fuels the kind of psychology behind that as well. I mean, some people, you don't know what they actually look like because so much work has been done. They're just
that is, in a way, that's freedom of choice, though, isn't it? I mean, it's exactly about, it sort of goes back to our social media discussion. I mean, we're trying to regulate things which come into the realms of people's freedom of expression and their freedom to choose to look at things which we might not want them to look at. With children, it's obviously different, and that's the case with surgery too.